The Fly Fishing Odyssey.
Hey everybody, my name is Allan and welcome to the Fly Tying edition of my ongoing video blog, The Fly Fishing Odyssey. Today I'm going to show you how to tie the Beetle pattern that I've been fishing with since I was a kid. I freaking love this fly. If you fish this fly on a hot, windy summer day, you almost get the feeling that you're cheating. That's how great this pattern can be. Now before I begin, I always lay out all the materials I'm going to need for the particular fly that I'll be tying. This is a time-saving strategy. In this way, I can sit down and just bust out 2 or 3 dozen flies. You will need a standard dry fly hook, size 14 or 16, black foam, orange foam, black thread, black rubber legs, peacock herl, and finally, black superfine dubbing. We'll begin by starting our thread in the center of the hook shank and then wrapping it back all the way to the bend. Now take your black foam and simply cut off a piece about 1 inch long, give or take. So it looks like that. And then what I like to do is cut one end of this piece of foam into a triangle. That way there's less material I have to tie down onto the hook shank. Then I set that piece of foam flat on top of the hook shank, and then I first tie it in right at the bend of the hook. And then I use a couple of soft loops to gather up the rest of the foam, and then go back and tie it in nice and tight. That way your foam doesn't roll around on your hook shank. Okay, looks good. Now I like to use 2 pieces of peacock herl, cut it off right at the base, and then simply tie them in together right at the bend. And then I wrap my thread about 2/3 up the way of the hook shank. Now using the hand over hand method, I wrap this peacock herl forward so I build a nice even underbody for this beetle. Just keep wrapping until you catch up with your thread. Then tie it off, clip the ends. There, looks good. Now I'm going to take some black rubber legs. Again, cut off about a piece is about 1 inch, probably a little less, and then separate them. And I like to use my rotary vise, put it on its side. That way I can tie this first leg right on the side of the shank, right in the middle of the rubber. Go ahead and tie it down. Give it a few good wraps. You can adjust it if you need to. There we go, that looks good. Now move the vise over to the other side and tie in your second piece exactly like you did with the first. Alright, those are the legs of our beetle. And these rubber legs are great for adding movement to the fly if you decide to twitch your beetle a little bit while you're fishing it. Now move the vise back to the original position and simply fold that flap of foam over the top of the hook shank, and this will form your overbody, and then tie it down right in the center of your rubber legs. Tie it down nice and tight. Alright. Now you can experiment with what material you want to use to make the fly more visible. I like to use the orange foam. I cut off a piece about like that and simply tie it in right at the top, right on top of the black foam. This makes your beetle high vis because it's very difficult to see a black fly like this on the water. Even a size 14 black fly like this one is. Alright, now I take my fingers and I clear all the materials back and wrap my thread directly in front of the black rubber legs and the foam. Just like that. Okay, now I'm going to take my black superfine dubbing, dub some on the thread, and wrap it, forming the head of your beetle. Alright, great. Now take your whip finisher. You can use do the whip finish with your hands if you prefer, but I like using a whip finish tool. And finish the fly off. Make sure that whip finish is nice and tight. And cut the thread nice and close. Alright, now you have a pretty sloppy looking beetle here, so we need to trim it down to size. First, I take the high vis orange foam and trim it down. Just like that. And then I take this big tab of black foam sticking out the front and I round it off to form the head of the beetle. Doesn't have to be perfectly round, but get it as round as you can. And as you can see, this gives great segment profile to your beetle, and I believe that's one of the major triggers for this fly, is the fish want to see that segmented body on the imprinted on the surface of the water. And then you can take your legs and trim them down just a bit. You can also tie this fly with no rubber legs, but I prefer fishing it with the legs. Like I said, when I twitch it, I want it to have a little movement, like it's a struggling beetle in the water. And there you have it. I hope you enjoy fishing and tying this beetle pattern. If you want some tips and tricks on how to fish the beetle, you can visit risetheory.com and check out my video blog, The Fly Fishing Odyssey.